afternoon and welcome back to My Harlem Portraits, the show that aims at shedding the light on the fundamental contribution of African Americans to the building of this country and on Black excellence.
Oh.
And to talk about Black excellence today, we are going to talk about an excellent African American Film Festival, the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival, that this year will be held from August 2nd to August 10th, 2024. And we have with us an exceptional guest because Miss Stephanie Rance is the co-founder of this 2022 years old film festival. Welcome to My Harlem Portrait.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I met you during an event organized by National Action Networks, where
Yes.
you and your husband were awarded for the creation of this film festival. And that award was so deserved because what you've done in these 22 years is just amazing. So you're celebrating 22 years of Black excellence in film, and your Academy accredited Run&Shoot Filmworks that produces the festival, which is also known as the Summer's Finest Film Festival.
That's right.
Has become an Oscar qualifying film festival in the short film category and has an impressive slate of independent films, documentaries, panel discussion, and exclusive events. So tell me what made you and your husband embark in such an adventure 22 years ago.
Oh, wow. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of that story. I left court. My husband's always worked for himself. Run&Shoot Filmworks is his company, and I worked with him. And I was in corporate America doing public relations and marketing from the music industry to a PR agency, and really at the time wanted to have children. And I knew that I couldn't do both at the same time because I've got such a type A personality. And I like to give 100% to whatever I do, so I knew I couldn't have a full-time job and be a mom and be married and give everything equal attention. So I left corporate, and plus I was tired of that corporate grind too. And I left corporate America, had my kids, but knew that if I wanted to get back into entertainment, I'd have to figure out, because it's always like, what have you done lately, right? I needed something to keep myself relevant. So I had this idea of starting a film festival. Really, no plan, nothing. It was like, oh, I think I want to do a film festival. I had not been to one, and I just started it 22 years ago with my husband. The film festival was supposed to happen in Barbados. We met with the Barbados Tourism Authority. They were going to do it. They were really excited. It was happening. And then 9/11 happened. They pulled out. And then Floyd and I were like, let's just do it on Martha's Vineyard, because we summered there and done some other events there. And that's how it was born. The first year we did it, we had 10 people come. And I thought, oh, it was horrible. It was just like 10 people came. My parents, that included my parents, Floyd. I know, our son, who was one at the time. It was crazy. And maybe a couple of filmmakers, no sponsors. And I was devastated. I started crying. And my husband was like, I thought he was so mean. He was like, you have 10 minutes to cry. And then you got to figure this out. Either you're going to let it go, or you're going to figure it out, or you're going to go back to corporate America. So I decided to figure it out. And here I am 22 years later. And I'm best decision I ever made. Now, I had jobs in between, because in the beginning it was not, I couldn't sustain myself just doing it. But it's been a wonderful journey, and it's 22 years old. I can't believe it. It's our first child.
Wow, this is so amazing. This is one of the reasons why I do these interviews, because people like you, it's so important to give people hope.
Yes.
And to lift people and let them know it can be done.
Yes, that's right.
But you have to work for it.
You have to work. Exactly. Our overnight success was 22 years in the making. It was not, it was hard work, but here we are, and it's a beautiful thing, and I do it full time, and I love it. It's a wonderful, it's great to give back to community, and I really love doing it.
Fantastic. This is really fantastic. over these past 22 years, the festival has gone from that startup thing of 10 movies to an Academy Award-sanctioned star-studded 9-day event.
Yes.
With 700 movies.
Well, no, we get about 800 submissions now. That's narrowed down to about 70 movies. So we show, that's a mix of independent short features, documentaries, and then we have the studio releases or streaming partner releases. But it's like 800 films squished down to 70 films. It's a journey. It's a lot.
So you have to go through all these movies. You are the ones who decide which movie.
Yeah, I used to do it with my husband, but the festival kept growing and growing. I do other responsibilities, and my husband is in charge of programming with a team that watches the films with him. But yeah, they watch every single film that comes in.
Wow.
I know. That's a full-time job.
I mean, it's incredible.
Thank
you.
How
did you manage to transform and grow in this exponential way? And what do you believe are the reasons and ingredients for your success?
Well, that's a good question. No one's ever asked me that before.
Good.
I think the festival has stayed true because, Floyd and I didn't go into this with ego. It wasn't, like I said, there was no business plan. We just did it. And honestly, truth be told, I had the idea and I wanted to do this because I thought if I did this film festival, that would get me back into corporate America. Like I thought, if I do this, then some big studio is going to be like, oh my God, she's amazing. Look what she's done. Not realizing that this was the thing I was supposed to do. So I went into this totally, eyes wide shut, not knowing anything in what I was doing, and fell in love with it. I really do. I think Floyd and I's success is because we stay true to who we are. It's a filmmakers film festival. We care about our filmmakers. And to your point, it's hard work. It's like, it is a full-time job. It takes a year to put that event on. And the keys to success, in my opinion, is just sticking to your dream, blocking out the noise, not surrounding yourself with negativity, getting rid of negative thoughts, staying true to yourself, and just grinding, just working hard. I'd rather work hard for myself and make myself rich than work hard for somebody else and make somebody else rich. And I'm not knocking people who have jobs. You do what you got to do. But for me, at this stage in my life, I love working for myself.
It is wonderful because you have all the satisfaction.
That's right. And I control everything. Exactly.
And you started the African American Film Festival because you felt there was a lack of representation?
Yeah. So when we were doing the first one, when it was going to be in Barbados, at that time, the submission fee was $10. And then all of a sudden, people started sending us VHS tapes. I'm dating myself. They would send us these VHS tape, and with a $10 money order, and they didn't know who we were. We could have just been like scammers and took the money. And that's when we realized, like, there's a need for this representation on the big and small screen. Like, these filmmakers of color are hungry to have their work shown to an audience.
Yes.
And that's when it clicked. And I'm like, oh my God, I think we really have something here. Let me really take this seriously and make this what it could be. And that's how it happened.
Wonderful. Do you remember which one was the first film or series that you particularly loved and you said, oh, this is it. We have reached a certain level now?
Oh, wow. That's another good question. Over the years, there have been so many amazing films and documentaries. A couple that stand out for me, I don't remember what year it was, but we had a documentary on Anita Hill. And that was absolutely fantastic. And everybody came out to support Anita Hill and this documentary on her life and what happened with Clarence Thomas. And I was like, wow, I'm honored that this woman would come to our festival. This is before it became really big, but that was a big one. We had another documentary that HBO gave us on Moms Mabley, the comedian.
Yes.
And Whoopi Goldberg couldn't come at the last minute. So we just showed the film. And it was like in the middle of the day, we didn't have any talent coming, and 800 people came to see this documentary on Moms Mabley, and they wore their Moms Mabley's hat. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, had no idea. That was really, that was amazing. I I would also say when the Obamas came in
Yes.
in 2021, that was like insane. So that was definitely a huge turning point for us to have the Obamas, both of them come and speak for like 20 minutes each about Floyd and I and the festival and their film Rustin that they were doing at the time. Not Rustin, Descendants, a documentary Descendants. So it was great. There's so many moments like that that I could recall, but you know, it's always an honor when people come and they want to show their films and they're just so full of gratitude that people stay to hear them talk and to watch what they've done. It's just a beautiful thing. And then we get these emails afterwards from people saying, "Oh my God, your festival touched me. Oh my God, I didn't know. I love it. I love Martha." Like all that stuff really touches us and really keeps us going.
Wonderful, wonderful. And the movie, there was also the same year as the Obamas, there was Tyler Perry also
Yeah,
with
Tyler was great. Yep, he was wonderful. Really nice guy, really tall. Wonderful. It was his first time on Martha's Vineyard as well, and he just fell in love with the island and the film festival. And we hope to work with him, you know, again, with the festival. But he was great. We had Tyler Perry. We've had, my God, everybody's been there. Regina King, Regina Hall, Tracy Ellis, like everybody's been there. It's a wonderful thing. It really is. It's a beautiful homecoming for Black folks. It really is.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I saw today and yesterday was researching and so I saw all the talent that's there, and the movies that you present are all the movies that I wanted to see. Some of them I've been able to see, some of them I haven't. So I love going to film festivals.
Nice.
Yeah, I usually go to Tribeca, and then I used to do a conference every year at the Venice Film Festival when
Nice.
I was working in the European Parliament. I was head of the European Parliament office in Italy, in Milan. And in September, we organized a festival conference at the festival because the European Union gives grants to producers and writers to produce their movies. And
how wonderful.
we invited them there, those who won those grants, to teach other new producers how to get the grants and so on.
Oh, how wonderful. That's lovely. Like that. Good.
Very interesting. So that's why I love movies. What were the other side, the most difficult moments? The moments where you said, "Oh my God, am I gonna do this again?" Or how am I going over this?
Yeah. Two times stick out in my head. One was the recession that happened in 07. That was tough for us because we had little ones. Our kids were tiny little ones. And when that recession happened, there was like no work. Nobody was working. My husband was still doing a lot of film stuff, but that dried up. And I couldn't find a job to save my life. We had just moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and all I had was the film festival back then. And it was definitely like, oh my God, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? But we persevered and we got through it. The second time would be COVID. 2020 was definitely an interesting time in our household and an interesting time for the festival because, January came and it was like, okay, it's a new year. It's 2020. It's our 20th anniversary. Like, this is going to be amazing. And then, my analogy is like everybody's driving down the highway at their own speed, right? At night driving. And then all of a sudden there's this big crater in the middle of the road and everybody's got to slam their brakes on and figure out how to get home in the dark. And that's what it felt like. COVID just felt like we were in this dark tunnel and no one knew how to get out of this tunnel. So we had to quickly pivot and be like, oh my God, like we have to do this. Like, what's going to happen? Our son was going to college. We had a lot of change happening in our household. COVID happened. Our first child was going off to college. Like everything just sort of like stopped and changed. And it was definitely an interesting time in our house. And we realized like we have to pivot this festival. And that's when the whole virtual thing came to pass. And I was like, I don't know if people are going to want to watch a film festival online because everybody's online and it's really crowded. And how are we going to do this? And then, the universe is such a wonderful thing. All of a sudden, Facebook reached out to us. Like, how did they even know who we were? Because, they are watching you. Just, all of a sudden, someone from Facebook reaches out. And they're like, hey, we love what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Have you ever thought about doing your festival online? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. Facebook is going to back this. We're going to do it on our Facebook page, and we're going to put all the films that we would have shown in a movie theater. We're going to show them on our page. And one thing I knew for sure during 2020 and 2021 is that everybody was online. Everybody was on social media, just trying to find some sort of human connection because we were all stuck in wherever we were stuck in. So I said, yeah, Floyd and I were like, yeah, let's do it on our Facebook page. Facebook put a lot of ad credits behind it. And then all of a sudden we had like 2 million views. It was insane. It was incredibly successful. Oh my God. I can't remember. We might've showed like 60 films. I can't even remember. And then try to block out 2020, honestly. We showed maybe like 60 films, and then the studios did like clips and conversations, and we had like interviews with like talent and direct, 2 million views. It was insane. It was really, really a huge success for us. So those are the 2 times where it was like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? But
that was
yes,
that is incredible. You didn't expect it, and something so incredible happened.
Exactly. I did not. Like, that just came out of nowhere. And we've got some guardian angels watching over us. And like I said, the universe just sort of was like, boom, here, do this. And Facebook just came and called, and we were like, okay, let's do it. And then we did it. It was great.
That is amazing. Yeah, that is when you least expect something really great happens, and
least expected it. Yep. And we were the only film festival to partner with Facebook and do something on our Facebook page. It was great. It drove traffic. It was amazing. It really was. And it was interesting because it was different. It was like, once all the films were uploaded to our Facebook page, it was like, that was it. Like, it just ran. Like, we scheduled everything. All the interviews were pre-recorded, and we scheduled it. And then it just, was like, okay, what do we have to do? It's like, you don't have to do anything. Facebook did what Facebook does. And, the films just ran and ran and ran, and people were watching it. It was fantastic.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah, it was.
That was incredible. So after the pandemic and after you going online, you realize that there was a possibility, even if you weren't live and you had all these 2 million people looking at your festival. So you realize that this is something that you could continue doing also afterwards as a side thing.
So yeah, we did it till 2022. We didn't do it in 23. I think the whole online thing kind of evened out and died out as the world opened up. So we kind of lost that audience for the virtual film festival, but we will do some things virtually because I think it's great. It expands our audience, but a full-fledged film festival, I don't know. I think that time has passed. Like, everybody was into all these verses, the music battles between artists, and then we had D-Nice doing the DJ thing. Like, everything had its moment. Yes. And I think moments I don't think they were moments that were supposed to last forever. It just kind of helped us get through that crazy 2021 time.
And
but it was great while it lasted.
And there was no alternative at the time.
And there was no alternative. Absolutely. So I think now that things are changing and people are going back to movies, like, you have to know when to let things go and not force it. It's like, I think that happened and it's done now. People feel more comfortable going to film festivals, going inside a theater. And I think, it worked for what it was supposed to work for, but I don't think it's something we're going to keep. We will have virtual components of our festival. Yes, so you can do certain things, right? But not a full 9-day. No, we're not going to do that. At this point, who knows what's going to happen in the future? But right now, I don't think we're going to do that.
Exactly. We know nothing.
We know nothing. Hopefully no more COVID. Jesus, can't do that again.
This moment, I think this period from I would say from 2016.
Well, that's true.
The worst period of my lifetime, as far as
of all of our lifetimes, 100,000%. Like, that whole was rough. Yes,
and it's rough as it can be now. So we need to get through this with this kind of beautiful things that lift us. So your main sponsors and partners in this incredible adventures are the different film and production companies and cable and streaming companies, right?
Yes, and as well as brands, yes.
Tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about that, because that is very interesting.
Yeah, ESPN is our presenting sponsor. This is their second or third year being our presenting sponsor, which is great. ESPN 30 for 30. HBO's been with us, or Max. I call them I know them as HBO. I can't Max. They've been with us for, oh my God, this is 20 years. HBO's been with us for
Wow.
20 years. It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, we've had sponsors who've been with us forever. Netflix, maybe this is their seventh or eighth year sponsoring, and everybody comes back. And then, of course, as studios have films that fit our target audience, they sponsor as well. So I can't say that, every year there's going to be a Lionsgate or, one of those other studios. It depends on their content, but our mainstays are the streaming partners. They've been really, really fantastic and supportive. And of course, all the brands. So like Cartier is coming back, which is lovely. L'Oreal is a sponsor, Estee Lauder. So we've got a lot of great brands and a lot of nonprofits sponsor us as well. So it's lovely.
Beautiful, beautiful. And how important you think has been the recognition by the Hollywood elite and your representation of not only the films, but also the creators of color, who are behind the scenes and in front of the camera, behind the camera, with your special event program?
Yeah, I think that was slow to come. I think, it's interesting. People always want to compare us to Sundance, in terms of scope, like it's on a small little area and, it's just got this big buzz. And I think the studios and streaming partners are realizing that this is something that we have to take seriously. This is an amazing film festival. We get top tier talent. And I will say that having the Obamas at the festival definitely made people really listen, not Black people, but more so others listen and tune in and be like, well, wait a minute. What are they doing over there? What is that? And I think, there's a lot of things percolating and changing with what we're doing, which I'm really, really happy about. But yeah, Hollywood has taken notice. Every single studio knows who we are and what we do. And what's nice now, in the beginning, we used to reach out to studios for content. What films do you have coming out? And now they reach out to us. So we don't pitch anything. Everybody comes to us with their films and what they want to do with us. So it's nice.
That's a fantastic turn of things, right?
It is nice, but we're still, it's still like, give us the same respect you give a Tribeca or a Sundance. Because we're doing the same exact thing, same caliber of people, same caliber of sponsors, beautiful location. There's no difference. One is just an African American or multicultural film festival, and the others are Gen Pop. So it's like there's no difference. Just the content is different, but it's the same in every single category.
How important has been the development of the new technologies in making the range and the variety of your content so expanded and so important?
And what do you mean, in what regards?
In regard to the fact that there are more and more people who can do films with just a phone.
Yes. Yeah. We have filmmakers who, they do films with their phones. Like that's pretty darn amazing. They use YouTube, like everything, to make content, and they give it to us. And, a lot of times it's great, sometimes not so much, but yes, technology has definitely afforded a lot of people the opportunity to make the films that they want to make for not a lot of money.
And to see them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this must have been pretty important also for your festival.
Yeah, it has. We started off with, I don't even know, like the first year, 10, 20 people submitted films. And now we've got like, 800 up to 1,000, submissions close April 30th or April 15th. But it's just, and films come from all over the world. And I think with social media, that's definitely opened up our world. And we get films from everywhere. It's pretty amazing how we get content from like China, Japan, different countries in Africa, countries in Europe. Like it's like crazy. We got a film one year from like Iceland. It was like, what?
Wow.
Norway, one of those two. It was like, what is going on? Yeah. So it definitely is we have a global impact, which is lovely.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can you anticipate us a little bit of the content of the next, the 2024 film
I
festival?
don't know, it's early, and I think since the SAG strike is over, a lot of things were shifting. So I
Yeah.
really can't tell you what we're going to be showing it. It's a little early. I'll know closer to like April, May, what folks want to show. I mean, we have some ideas, but until their calendars stop shifting and moving, I really don't know what we're going to show.
So we'll have to have another conversation with
That's
you.
right. Yes, we
Earlier on,
will.
a little later on.
Yes, when we announce the lineup. Absolutely.
When you announce the
Absolutely.
lineup, we are gonna have another conversation and
I would
talk
love
about
that.
the new lineup. And this is
Perfect.
very, very interesting. Can you give us a little bit of information, well, practical information about where majority of the screening and events is gonna take place and
Sure.
to get to the island and so on?
Yeah. So the screenings take place at the Martha's Vineyard Performing Arts Center. It's the high school. It's around the corner from the high school. It's their Performing Arts Center. It's an 800-seat theater. Getting to Martha's Vineyard, yeah, it is a journey. Not gonna lie, it's a little tricky because it's an island in the middle of the ocean, but it's lovely. So from New York, you could fly right on to the Vineyard, or you could fly to Boston, and then you can drive to Woods Hole. Falmouth is the town. America. It's like the edge. And then you hop on a ferry, take a 40-minute ferry ride to Martha's Vineyard. It's beautiful. Housing, I would tell you to book your housing right now. Airbnb is the best thing for people to do. Airbnb or, VRBO, whichever one you want to use. There are hotels, but there are no big hotels like a Marriott or a Hyatt or something like that. It's more boutique-y type hotels, a lot of B&Bs, and folks rent their houses out. That's your best bet, but you need to do it sooner rather than later. And if you're going to have a car, you need to book your car on the ferry. I think ferry reservations are open now to book your car on there. You do need a car on island to get to the festival. You can rent cars on Martha's Vineyard, but it's more cost effective to rent a car in Boston at Logan Airport and just drive it on the boat, or in Falmouth and then drive it on the boat.
Thank you also for this.
Absolutely.
These are very precious and important information for
Yes, it
our
is.
viewers who want to start organizing themselves to go
And
to
one
Martha's
one thing I would say, if you use Airbnb, make sure that if you find a house that it's on Martha's Vineyard, because sometimes their radius goes to the mainland. So you don't want to be in Falmouth, okay, or Hyannis or something like that. You want to make sure it's on Martha's Vineyard. Because I've had so many people say, oh, I booked it. And I'm like, nope, that's not the island. You're on the mainland. You're not on the island. So it's the towns, they're Oak Bluffs, Edgartown, Vineyard Haven, Tisbury. Those are the towns that you want to stay in. Yeah, so don't do Falmouth or Hyannis or whatever other crazy town pops up. It's not Martha's Vineyard.
Thank you so much. Precious
Absolutely.
information.
Yes.
So I thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
We take a rain check for next time also,
Yes,
for when
absolutely.
the lineup is come up. And we thank our viewers for being with us one more time. And then our next appointment with My Harlem Portraits is going to be next Saturday, 12:30 p.m. on Spectrum 1993 and MNN HD. And if you want to see this episode, this in conversation, you can also go on my YouTube channel, which is also titled My Harlem Portraits.
Very nice.
Thank you again.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Bye-bye. Likewise.
Bye. Yes.